Hey, my new short film trailer is released. Link in the description. Please go check it out. What's up? It's a culture detective here, investigating your favorite movies, and today I'm going to be reviewing a film that I've been dying to watch for months already, and this film is The Seed of the Sacred Fig, or in Farsi, I'm gonna butcher this, but let me at least have the respect to pronounce it in its original name. دانه انجیر معابد. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, The Seed of the Sacred Fig is a new film written and directed by Iranian director Mohammad Rasulov. And this is probably going to be the last film he's going to be making in Iran. Now, let me bring this back a little bit. How did this film happen? Ever since the 2010s, Mohammad Rasulov has already been protesting the authoritarian regime in Iran, and miraculously he's able to make several films throughout the 2010s and even in the early 2020s. The last film he made prior to this is called There Is No Evil, and at the meantime, he got arrested like twice, I believe. Now, with The Seed of the Sacred Fig, he had to film in secret because he doesn't want the police in Iran to catch him or the cast or the crew. So he filmed the entire movie in secret, fearing that the news of the filmmaking would leak out. Unfortunately, it actually leaked, I believe, and Mohammad Rasulov had to escape Iran on foot and cross the mountains and then flee all the way to Germany in order to escape. And when this film screened at Cannes Film Festival this year, nobody even knew if Mohammad Rasulov would even be able to show up because he might have been caught, he might have been arrested by the police, he might have been in jail, worse, tortured. So nobody knew the livelihood of Mohammad Rasulov. But like a superhero, he emerged at the Cannes Film Festival. He is alive and he is in one piece, as with some of his cast and crew. However, not everyone in the cast was so lucky. The two main actors who played the father and the mother in the family in the story, they couldn't make it out of Iran, and they're probably arrested as I'm speaking right now. So, with this under context, you do have to realize how important of a film and how brave and courageous is this film. Even if you don't like the plot of the story, even if you don't like the cinematography or the editing or whatever, you have to admit that just the bravery of making this film alone makes it one of the most important films of the year, and an incredibly important political statement as well. Now, anyways, how did I watch this film? This film was not properly released yet in the United States. It hasn't officially premiered yet. But as a USC student, we get advanced screenings. And not only that, but we get advanced screenings for free at the USC campus. So I was able to reservate a spot at the theater, at the USC IMAX theater, and I watched the whole film, and Jesus Christ, it's nearly 3 hours long, and I had to sit on the stairs because all the seats have been taken. But one great thing about watching this film at USC is that I got a free neon shirt. Yes, guys, I got a free neon shirt, so I'll be rocking this drip when it's not as cold again. But anyways, I digress. The Seed of the Sacred Fig. Now, the plot of the film is essentially we have a family, we have a dad, his name's Iman, we have a mom, Najre. I'm sorry, I forgot her name already. We have the two sisters, the two daughters of the family. One is called Rezva and the other is Sana. And so we have this family completely, slowly and gradually torn apart by politics. Now, again, because Mohamed Rasulov had to film this film in secret, so most scenes actually take place within one apartment for the span of 3 hours, especially in the first 2 acts. We're basically in this apartment a lot. And the fact that he's able to make this one location so gripping and never feeling old or boring is actually really impressive. Now, this film is nearly 3 hours long, and I can separate it into 3 parts. The first part, or the first hour, is basically in-your-face political messaging. It's about the two daughters trying to protect and trying to save this other friend of theirs who is one of the protesters. And yeah, it's very didactic, but when young women and protesters are getting killed at your own hometown, okay? At your own hometown, you can't be too nuanced without ruining the impact of how fucked up this situation is. And aside from that, we also get these vertical videos where there are so many scenes where the two daughters, Rezva and Sana, they would be looking at their phone and they would be scrolling through Instagram and social media, and they would see vertical videos of protests, police beating up innocent civilians, police beating up protesters, people with their heads splattered on the ground, blood coming out. It's very graphic. It's upsetting. The guy I was sitting next to, he was like very taken back by it. And so, yeah, it's didactic. It's very blunt with what it's trying to say. But you can't not be blunt in situations like this. Now, we move on to the second hour, where the whole plot of the film kind of changes and shifts gear. It turns into a bit of a paranoia-driven thriller where we have a missing gun, and that becomes a huge underlying mystery throughout the entire film. From this part onwards, the pacing of the film really begins to pick up and it becomes interesting, which leads to the third hour, which is a full-on family drama / family thriller. Most scenes take place at an apartment, but somehow the director managed to fit a car chase in the film, which is crazy. How did they film this car chase while not having any permits at all? Honestly, the biggest question is how did they film the exteriors, the streets? They use a lot of long lenses, and yeah, if you use long lenses, it's more hidden because you're shooting from a far distance, but even so, getting permits and filming in secret on the streets must be extremely difficult. Now, I have a few gripes. This film is not perfect. First of all, because the first, second, and third hour all deal with something different, this film does have a jumbled structure. It's not structured really well. It's not the most cohesive film. Another thing is that the characters are not the most likable or interesting because they are essentially caricatures of the Iranian regime. So the dad character here, Iman, he is the strict, iron-fisted ruler, and he represents the Iranian regime. The two daughters, they represent the protesters, the people who want freedom and democracy. And they are essential caricatures. We don't know their backstory. We don't see any nuance in them. The only nuanced character is the mom, who is sort of caught in between, centrist, essentially, trying to appease the father while trying to love and protect the daughters. And yes, the characters are not that interesting, but I find it ingenious how Mohamed Rasulov could just take Iran's political situation and sort of condense it into a family. I thought that is a really smart way of talking and writing and directing about politics. And then we have these vertical videos and also the themes of families being torn apart politically, the paranoia. As a Hong Konger who's been through Hong Kong protests in 2019 and the extremely depressing political climate of Hong Kong right now, this hits me. And not everyone's gonna get it, okay? Not everyone's gonna get this. But people who have seen this on their TV in their own hometown, seeing protesters getting beat up, police brutality, and the government protecting the police, really hit hard for me. So a lot of scenes in this film actually had at least slightly an impact on me, even though I was really tired last night when I watched it. Visually, the film is a little bit uninteresting, it's a little bit uninspired, somewhat, but I feel like there is no need for this film to look that extravagant or anything, and I think the editing and the cinematography is competent for what it is. I do want to point out that the ending is very strong. This film ends on a very strong ending. Without spoiling anything, this film is kind of like the climax of The Shining. But yeah, this is a very meaningful and moving final statement. I think another film that I want to mention is actually Safdie brothers films, especially Good Time, because of the use of long lens in this film. I do want to say Good Time is more visually stimulating than this film by miles. And if the Safdie brothers had filmed Good Time in secret, I wouldn't be surprised at all. But anyways, The Seed of the Sacred Fig, it is a really great film. It's important, it's thought-provoking, it's a hell of an ending for a film, and I highly recommend everyone to check it out. I'm giving The Seed of the Sacred Fig a strong 8 to a light 9 out of 10. So have you watched The Seed of the Sacred Fig? Comments below let me know, subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching.